All right. Let's get into the UFC 327 predictions. It was a crazy night last night. I'm recording this at about noon. The next day, little busy doing stuff. Let me put this on full screen. Yeah. So, um, yeah. So I was busy last night. Busy this morning. So I'm just now recording this. Hopefully, I can get it out at some point today. I'm just gonna basically be going over all the fights and matchmaking some of the more top contenders. Like I'm not. If you're coming here to see who I think Charles Radke's gonna fight next, I mean you're on the wrong channel. But yeah, so we're gonna just go over all these fights. I'm gonna start with the early prelims and work my way up. So if you only care about my Yuri reaction or my Josh Hokett reaction, then go ahead and skim through the video and find those. But let's start down here with the Charles Radke. Charles Radke gets a nice decision win over Francisco Prado. Just pretty much destroyed him on the ground. I mean, like these striking numbers, majority of them came from the ground. You can tell just strictly because of the significant strike numbers compared to the total strike numbers. 4 out of 5 on takedowns and just looked solid, honestly. Solid on the ground. He didn't look great on the feet in the first round. Like right when that first round started, I thought Prado would maybe catch him early, but he ends up getting him to the ground and just kind of getting a nice decision win over him. It wasn't a boring decision either. It was solid. There was a lot of elbows from the ground from Radke that ended up hurting Prado and busting him open. And Prado's super young, I don't think I think he's probably done with this current run in the UFC. I think he's like 0 for 4 in his last 4 fights, but Radke gets a nice win. Short notice for both of these guys as well, though, so you never know. And not the biggest fan of Radke himself, but it was a solid fight. It was a solid fight, and I did predict that, so I'm 1-0 so far. And this is where I take my first loss here. This Kelvin Gastelum looks super great leading into this fight. Looked in shape for the first time in a while, like as in shape as he's gonna get. Just didn't look all too good in the fight. I mean, gets knocked down. It was a good fight before then, just kind of back and forth a little bit, and then just gets knocked down, and then Luque just knew exactly what to do. He gets him in that Darce choke, and he gets him to tap out, and it was a really solid showing for Vincent Luque, coming off of a few losses and moving up to middleweight for the first time, and he's fighting a big middleweight in Kelvin Gastelum. So yeah, I thought it would be a real test. That's why I had Gastelum, honestly, and I kind of just touted him as the better vet in a way, just because he's fought better competition, and you know. But Luque, I mean, he comes up here to middleweight and gets a win, and I think that's a great sign for Luque. And middleweight's not the toughest division in the world. I'd say it's better than light heavyweight and heavyweight, but especially with 3 ranked middleweights moving up, you know, beating a Kelvin Gastelum, I think puts you close to that top 15 for Luque. Not that I think he's ever going to go on a title run in this division, but just to at least be up there, right? And then I could see him definitely being the type of guy to be kind of more of a gatekeeper. Not necessarily that, because I think that he's like, I just don't see him beating any of the top guys, and I see him destroying all of like the kind of bottom guys. So I could see him being a decent gatekeeper in that middleweight division. As we move on to the next fight, so I had Chris Padilla, and I had that prediction right whenever they announced it. But then they go back later and show us the cards and say that Chris Padilla actually, it was actually a draw. And I mean, they've been having a few of these mistakes recently with Bruce Buffer and the UFC, or I don't know what is going on, but they need to figure this out. Like, it cannot be this difficult. Like, they, in that heavyweight fight, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, with Tyrell Fortune and Tybura, like, we're saying the wrong winner. Like, what is going on with that? And then we're coming out here and we're not even reading the scorecards right for this fight. It's a little ridiculous. Like, I honestly kind of feel bad for Chris Padilla. He missed weight, so it's like, I don't know. But I thought he won. I mean, it being a draw is like fair. Like, I'm not upset with it. It's just, I'm more like kind of like, I wish it would have, you know, not been for my prediction, but I don't necessarily have a strong feeling for either of these two guys. I thought, Medeiros did more damage than Padilla. Obviously, Padilla just had that volume, right, and was able to just kind of keep piecing him up. But Medeiros was just throwing just elbows straight into his guard, straight through it, like it wasn't even there. It was a solid fight, solid back and forth. Ends up being a draw. Yeah, I mean it's tough, draws happen, but um, I don't necessarily think that this is a fight they need to run back either. I think it's fine just letting it be where it was, but it was a fun fight for the early prelims. And then on to the actual prelims, we have Tatiana Suarez beating Lupi by round two sub, and I got this right on the money. I was very proud of myself for that prediction. I was a little hesitant with the sub, but dude, women's fights have just been delivering recently, and I just went for it, and I ended up getting it right. This was a good fight too, honestly, a super good fight. Just women's MMA is really showing up recently. I know next week there's a lot of women MMA on the card. Um, we'll see how that goes, but yeah, Suarez puts on a great performance against Lupi, and I mean, what's really stopping Suarez from being up in that title contention, right? At this point, I think it'd be very good for her to, be in that title contention, fighting like Mackenzie Dern, or if Mackenzie Dern's gonna fight Zhang Weili first, then maybe Suarez gets Weili, if or maybe you give her another opponent. I don't know, but I think she's got to be in those talks, especially if she's getting finishes, especially against somebody like Lupi who's never been subbed. I think it's a great performance, great fight as well. I mean, up to this point, this was my favorite fight on the card. So, um, yeah, it's a good performance from Tatiana Suarez, and another prediction I got right. And then we have Mateus Gamrot getting the submission win over Esteban Ribovic. Yeah, it was a nice arm triangle, nice submission. The ref tried to end it prematurely by a few seconds, but just as dominant as a win as I thought Gamrot was going to have. I knew when they made this fight that something was off, and I thought maybe Esteban. I didn't think that he was all that. I really didn't. Gamrot is a top 10 lightweight, and he's beaten top 10 lightweights. People forget, he going into that fight with Charles Oliveira that he took on a month short notice or a few weeks short notice. A lot of people had him over Oliveira because that was Oliveira's first fight after Ilya. I had Oliveira, but I really felt like Gamrot had a good chance, and he got kind of destroyed. So a lot of people probably going into this one, they're I don't know if you can really trust Gamrot, but that's just how MMA fans are. You're only as good as your last fight. You're only as loved as your last fight was good. And we'll get into that later because there's a lot of, there's just a lot of people out there that just can't ever be a fan of a fighter if they lose or if they have a bad performance, or they can't hate a fighter that has a good performance. It's a little weird. It's a little fake to me. It takes an element kind of I don't know. It's one thing to win over the crowd, but to just lose your whole fan base from a loss. All right. Well, let me just, because Gamrot never had a crazy fan base, probably at least in America, I would say. People probably like him, but yeah, Gamrot comes out here, gets a solid win. I mean, who would Gamrot fight next? I think Patty would be a good matchup, or I mean, if you want a BSD to fight more down the rankings, you could throw him in there with BSD. I think that would be a good matchup. Maybe a Dan Hooker. I'm not sure if they've already fought before, but somebody like that. I would honestly say, I want to say actually Dan Hooker's already beat Gamrot, but just somebody in that kind of range. You don't really necessarily want him fighting more down the rankings at this point, and you're not going to throw him in there with a Hoofy or no one like that, because Hoofy obviously is going to fight Michael Chandler, and when he beats Michael Chandler, you're not going to want him to fight another main wrestler, because we've seen how that kind of went when BSD just kind of took him down and easily choked him out. But yeah, I'd say Gamrot versus Patty, or Gamrot versus BSD. That could main event a fight night in my opinion. Or honestly, you'd probably throw Patty is probably going to go on a pay-per-view main card, but still, I think this is a really great performance from Gamera, and I did have this predicted. I had a decision, but I'm still taking it because I got the fight guy right. And then this Kevin Holland Randy Brown fight was an absolute banger until that third round. I had Kevin Holland sub. He gets him in the dark man choke, as Kevin Holland calls it, and Randy Brown just somehow survives. I don't understand how he survived that choke, and I give him all the credit, but I don't like. There's really was no point of him even surviving it, because once he got out of that choke, Randy Brown did absolutely nothing. He literally held Kevin Holland against the cage, and that's all he could do for the rest of the fight. He was completely gassed, used all of his energy to get out of the choke, and then did absolutely nothing and just accepted defeat. Did nothing. Solid performance for Kevin Holland. I mean, he was coming off of 2 straight losses and needed this win, and he got it. And Randy Brown, I mean, he's kind of coming off of a few losses now, and I like Randy Brown a lot. I hope he can bounce back and get a nice win, but I don't know who Kevin Holland should fight next, honestly. I could see him getting it back out there in not that long, like, 3, 4 months maybe. And but I don't know. I mean, I'd have to really think about who I think he should be fighting next. But it was a good fight. It was a really good fight. And then we have Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. This was a banger. I mean, I had this right on the money, and Aaron Pico goes out there and just absolutely destroys Patricio Pitbull in a way that I just never thought he would. I mean, he didn't even need to take him down, and he still took him down 6 times. Didn't do a whole lot with those takedowns. Like, Patricio Pitbull got up pretty easily every time he got took down. But, like, Aaron Pico was just looking smooth. I mean, he's now ranked as well, because Pitbull was ranked. I think he was like 11 or 13. He was one of those. But Aaron Pico's going to jump up into those rankings, and you want him to fight up now as well. You're not going to put him against nobody down. And I know that this was a fight Pitbull really wanted from the moment he signed with the UFC, and he got it, and this is how it went. And it went how I thought it would. I mean, I knew he was going to be faster. I knew he was going to be bigger, more powerful. The fact that Pitbull, like, even survived all 3 rounds is super impressive. But he's just, at that age, I feel like, where he's just slower, and he's starting that decline, and I'm not saying he can't get wins at this point, but he's not going to beat somebody like Aaron Pico. I saw that coming. This was kind of a coin flip for me before the fight, but whenever it started and I saw how Pico was moving, I just knew that I would have got this one right. And great performance for Pico. I'm very much looking forward to his next fight. And this was just a great performance. I mean, he lost to Lerone Murphy. That's not a bad loss at all, especially for your UFC debut on the main card of at that time it was a pay-per-view, not even just a numbered event. You had to pay to watch that. So, you just kind of put him on the prelims here against a vet like Pitbull. It's still a tough fight. He comes out there and he wins, and he just looks so much more calm, just wasn't even, like, just so smart. This was a great performance for Pico. And, I mean, who he should fight next? It's tough. I mean, that featherweight division's tough. It's a little weird. There's, like, a lot of, like, up and coming guys, just jumping into the rankings. And but like I said, I'm probably gonna make like a I think my next video is probably gonna have to do something with, like, an underrated and overrated fighter in each division that's ranked, and then I'll talk more about, like, whenever the rankings are updated as well. I'm gonna make that video, so Aaron Pico will be in the rankings. But, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to his next fight. But this was a great fight and a great way to end the prelims as we move on to this main card that was, I mean, for the most part, pretty fucking crazy. We start with Cub Swanson, first round KO. I had him getting second round KO, but I'm still taking that. In his last fight in in his MMA career, he's going to go on and be a great coach, I'm sure. Just absolutely destroys Nate Landwehr. I mean, Nate Landwehr just did not even look like he was a professional. I mean, like, just literally gets absolutely pieced up and destroyed by Cub Swanson at his big age of 42. Great performance for Cub Swanson. Great fight. Obviously, It'll be sad to see him go, but I'm sure he'll make a great coach. And then Nate Landwehr, honestly, like 3-fight losing streak now, looked like dog shit against a 42-year-old Cub Swanson. Like I could see them maybe giving him another fight because he took this fight like for the UFC, and but I'm just gonna tell you how it is. Like I don't care to see this guy again. As we move on to this absolute stinker of a fight, how many times has the UFC hyped up a fight like this kind of caliber of a fight, and it just been complete dog shit? Literally, it's happened so many times. Like I was there in Vegas when they were hyping up the Derek Lewis Waldo Cortez Acosta, and that fight was dog shit. Like there was still a finish, but like it might as well have been decision. It was sloppy as fuck, just hesitant as fuck, and I get it. Like I really do get it. Like why these two are so hesitant. I don't know why. Like Johnny Walker, all of a sudden in his whole career has never fought like that, and then wants to go out there and act like he wants to pick up this new style. I personally like think that Johnny Walker won this, but like it's just not even like you can't even be mad that he didn't. Like neither of these fighters deserved to win. If anything, it really could have been a draw. Like I think this was closer to being a draw than the Padilla fight. Um, I think Johnny Walker like won this fight. Like I on my scorecard, I had Johnny Walker up 2-1, but at the end of the fight. But I mean, Reyes getting this win. I don't think this really helps either fighter. This is just such a bad performance for both of them, and I think both of them will bounce back in the way of like they will have more entertaining fights coming. But just to put these two against each other, we really thought we were going to see fireworks and just saw the absolute opposite. Like the whole crowd was booing them, absolutely just starting chants like this was fucking WWE. Like it was an absolute boring fight that just went nowhere. Nothing. Like I like literally lost 15 minutes of my life watching this, and I really thought this was going to be a quick win, but I did get the pick right. I picked Dominic Reyes, so I'll take that. I'll take that. And then we had this absolute banger. I mean, total just back and forth. Like obviously I hate seeing Josh Hokic win, but it's a great performance, honestly. And I will say, like, and this is has no bias, honestly. Like, Curtis Blades is getting like Josh Hokic's getting so much praise, and I get it. Like Curtis Blades is a top 5 heavyweight at the time of this fight, um, and it's an impressive win. It really is an impressive win, and but like everyone is all talking about Hokic, which I know he won, but it's like when the commentary is breaking this fight down, it is the first round, and yeah, Josh Hokic's hitting Blades with stuff. Blades is hitting Hokic with stuff. That happened all fight. The commentary absolutely just so biased to Josh Hokic. It's actually like ridiculous. Like I almost wanted to turn the commentary off. It was so bad. DC, probably one of the worst commentary performances of all time, and I like DC, but now I just would rather just watch it in silence with the crowd. This was just an absolute horrible fight to hear the commentary for. Great fight, absolutely ruined by the commentary. They were just all over Josh Hokic that whole fight. Curtis Blades was putting in a lot of work on Josh Hokic. This was a great back and forth. It was never, and I thought it was a lot, like people, I thought it was a close fight, obviously. Like look at the numbers, you can even watch the fight. You want to talk about who took more damage? Yeah, Curtis Blades wearing more damage, but it's like he's been in so many more fights. He's took so much more damage in his career. Of course, he's gonna wear it more. Like commentary is just absolutely horrible. Keep John Anik. Give me Michael Bisping. I don't give a fuck about Joe Rogan or DC at this point. Just not great. I didn't enjoy the commentary during this fight. Just super biased. But this was a great fight. And then to top it all off, we get a fucking call in from Donald Trump saying that he wants Derek fucking Lewis on the White House card. And then they put together that night, literally before the main event, Derek Lewis versus Josh Hochik. No, who the fuck? I'm sorry, like I'm sure people want to see it. I don't care to see that fucking fight. So you're telling me Josh Hokic? I honestly just this just doesn't make any sense. Josh Hokic beats Curtis Blades #5, and now he has to fight down in the rankings after just beating somebody who's better than Derek Lewis. He has to now fight an 40 like a 43-year-old Derek Lewis who looked like complete shit in his last fight. Literally looked so horrible. I was completely fine never seeing Derek Lewis ever fight again. He looked so bad in that fight. Josh Hokic is going to kill Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is so fucking slow. You thought Blades was too slow for Hokic, which he was, but he had more power. You could just tell. I mean, he landed a little bit less significant strikes, but way more total strikes. A lot of those total strikes he was doing was in the clinch. You know, hit him with uppercuts, maybe some elbows, took him down a few times, and um, really in that first round, I really wish he would have took him down more because I know he tried, but they were just kind of sorry ass attempts because at this point they were both just fucking gassed, um, and it was just kind of a back and forth slop, like in a good way, you know, and but I will say like I just do not give a fuck to see Josh Hokic versus Derek Lewis. Like, if you're trying to give him a fucking free win, then do it. That's fine. Derek Lewis, in my opinion, like, is a step down from Curtis Blades to the lateral move. If you want to say, okay, well, we'll give him one more ranked win, then maybe a title shot, whatever. Give him a title shot. Hopefully, Tom Aspinall's still in the fucking division so he can destroy this guy. He calls out Pereira. Like, Pereira's not gonna fight this guy. Like, I could never see a world where a guy like Pereira fights him. Pereira at this point in his career is only, and it's kind of like a John Jones situation, but just a more, Pereira is just more like the John Jones. So like, Pereira does not have to fight Josh Hokic ever in his career. You know what I mean? Like, Pereira's gonna fight Gon, and if he wins, he's gonna fight Aspinall, and then he's done. And if he loses to Gon, he's probably done, you know. I know he just signed a 10-fight deal. I really feel like that's just more so the UFC can kind of keep a hold of him so he doesn't go and fight somewhere else. I don't see him. I don't see Pereira doing a whole lot more fights, and I definitely don't see him fighting a guy like Hokic. But yeah, I mean, this was a great fight. Obviously, just upset about the outcome a little bit, but I had this prediction, and I will take the points for that. I had this prediction to a T. I had Josh Hokic decision. I wish I would have fucking threw $1 million on it. I don't bet, so I didn't win any money. But hey, I mean, it was at least nice to get the prediction right. And then we get into this crazy fight. Azamat Murzakanov man, I still like Azamat, and I really like him. And it just sucked to see him lose to Paulo Costa. I just thought he was so much better, but Paulo Costa went out there and just looked so much bigger than Azamat and just looked so much more clean. I mean, he was piecing him up. Those kicks were just dangerous. And what's crazy is Costa is going to probably get a title shot off of this because we'll get into it in the main event, but we need two people to fight for an interim belt most likely. And one of them's probably gonna be Costa because Magomed Ankalaev has a fight coming up in July. We don't know who he's fighting yet, so like we'll see. But then who else is really going to be fighting for that interim belt? If anything, this shit should have been for the interim belt. Obviously, you know, didn't happen, but because we didn't know who the champ was gonna be and we didn't know Olberg was gonna get injured, but Costa's going to be fighting for that interim belt 1,000,000% if they do an interim belt. I'm assuming they will, but it's going to be him for sure. Like, Roundtree's coming off of a loss. I don't think it's going to be him. You've got, I mean, like, it's not going to be Yuri, I wouldn't think, unless they're going to try to push Yuri after that loss, but I don't know what they're going to do. But, it's definitely going to be interesting, but this was just an absolute great performance from Paulo Costa. Honestly, kind of earned my respect in a sense. Like, he just went out there and had a great performance against a fighter that I rate really highly. I don't think this is it for Azamat. He's pretty old. He's getting up there. But I think he's an entertaining fighter, and I think he really could bounce back. I don't think he's going to probably ever touch that gold now, but, you know, I could see him still putting on bangers. and we get on to this main event. This was a great fight. I mean, say what you want. I'm completely upset about Yuri losing. But like I said in my prediction video, Carlos Ulberg is a fighter that I like and a fighter that I knew was being disrespected leading up to this fight. I know the betting odds had it even, but like from a perspective of, non-betting odds, everyone's pulling for Yuri, right? And no one gives a shit about Ulberg. I mean, no one gave a shit. A lot of people still don't. This dude tears his ACL in the middle of the fucking, like literally in the first minute and a half, and then knocks Yuri the fuck out. Yuri, now is it Yuri's fault? Like 1,000,000%. Just probably the lowest IQ I've ever seen in the octagon. Absolute, like, and it's classic Yuri. He's trying to show mercy, whatever, and on the mic after the fight, just has this fucking like classic Yuri clip farming moment where he learns a lesson, whatever. He's only 33. So I think Yuri is obviously going to bounce back, and I think, but he's just that type of fighter. He's a fluky fighter. Like, you're either going to fluke him or he's going to fluke you. I know he's only lost to Alex Pereira before this loss, but like I was telling people, it's like Khalil Roundtree damn near beat this guy. Like, if it wasn't for some insane third round Yuri comeback and Khalil just gassing out completely, I mean, we would have been seeing Khalil versus Ulberg, so it's definitely tough. I love Yuri still, and that's what I was going to get into. I've seen a lot of Yuri hate, and I've seen a lot of people not liking Yuri anymore. Um, same thing with Blades, and it's just so weird to me. It's so weird. I hate it. People, you do realize you can be a fan of a fighter who loses, and it's okay. Like, you're allowed to be upset about your favorite fighter losing and then still be one of your favorite fighters. I get that he lost in some crazy way. And also, no one's giving Ulberg any credit here. Like, no one. I don't understand why no one's giving him any credit. I just don't understand why anyone's giving Ulberg any credit. This is just an insane win. Who would not be a fan of Carlos Ulberg after that fight? UFC fans are just so weird. And I'm saying UFC because it's just UFC fans. It's not just MMA or, you know, whatever. Like, it's just so weird how can you see a performance like that? I get he knocks out Yuri and it's, oh, Yuri showed mercy. Carlos Ulberg tears his ACL in the middle of a championship fight, his first ever championship fight, and then literally knocks out Yuri Prohaska, the favorite fighter by majority of people outside of the betting odds. It's ridiculous that Ulberg is getting hate still. I mean, he literally, and if he would have lost, like, Yuri would have been like, oh, like, they would have said, oh, like, Yuri won the title, but Ulberg got injured. They could have ran that shit back. You know what I mean? But now I don't even want to see Ulberg versus Yuri again. And if it does happen again, I want it to happen after Yuri actually goes on a little bit of a win streak. Like, don't just throw Yuri, don't put Yuri up against like Ankalaev or somebody like that. And Ankalaev would be like a great win, obviously, because he's number one in the division. But that's, number one contender, technically based on the rankings. But give Yuri a few fights. Like, let him fight Azamat. Let him fight maybe even Ankalaev. Let him fight some of these guys, maybe Apollo Costa. And then have him come back and try to fight if Ulberg is still the champion. Because I feel like with a guy like Yuri, who's just so favored by the fans, he's going to go out there and probably beat, probably beat one of these guys that's kind of like maybe in the 5 to 10 range, maybe at 5, and then he's going to get another title shot. Kind of like a Diego Lopez, which another fighter that I love, but Yuri just kind of reminds me of the type of guy to get undeserved title shots. But yeah, Ulberg, big fan of Ulberg after that. Not as, obviously I still love Yuri, and it's just to go out there with the odds already against you, you tear your ACL, you can barely stand, and you just absolutely knock Yuri out cold. Great performance, absolutely great performance from Carlos Ulberg. And now, as we talk about who could be fighting for the interim, let me just go ahead here. Alright, y'all didn't see that shit. Jesus Christ. Let me go up here and pull up the rankings here. Let me go ahead and pull up these rankings of the light heavyweight division. So here's the light heavyweight division over here on the right side of the screen. Like, who's next? You got Magomed Ankalaev fighting in July in Dubai, I think. Opponent not announced, but it could be like a Jan Blachowicz, you know, that type of opponent. But like, you've got Yuri, who just lost Olberg, who's now the champion, but probably going to be out for a year. When you think of an interim title, I mean, it's going to probably 100% be Paulo Costa, but who would he fight here? Khalil's coming off of a loss to Yuri, and Khalil might be fighting Magomed Ankalaev. And then, like, none of these other guys even really deserve that. You know what I mean? They're definitely not going to give it to Dominic Reyes after that, after that type of win. I don't know what they're going to do here with the light heavyweight division. It's definitely in a rough spot, like, with Olberg going down like that. I could honestly see them doing, like, Yuri versus Paulo Costa. But, like, I just wouldn't be a fan of that. It's like you're literally just giving Yuri another chance at the title and another chance at the #1 contendership, and it would be a 1-fight win streak to fight for the title again against Olberg. So I don't know what they're gonna do here, but like I said, the next video you will see of me will be me overrated, underrated fighter in each division. It's going to be probably Monday or Tuesday whenever they update these rankings, so that I can really decide, so then I can get a more updated look at everything. And then I will also be coming out with predictions for the card, the Burns versus Mallet, that amazing card, and then probably try to think of some other things to do as well. If you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments. If you haven't seen my, I know you, there's probably no point in watching my prediction video now, but just to see how I got fights right and, you know, my kind of analysis before the fights and then compared to now, you guys can go check that out. And then if you haven't seen my favorite fighter tier list, it's kind of all over the place. It's an hour long. You don't necessarily have to watch the whole thing, but if you know, if you maybe have like favorite fighters or favorite, like, you know, unranked fighters as well, because I ranked a lot of unranked fighters in that as well, and you want to see how I feel about your favorite fighter, go ahead and check that video out. I just uploaded it either yesterday or the day before. So well, that'll be all from me, and hopefully you guys enjoy your weeks after that great card. So that'll be all, and thank you guys for watching.